I was completely wrong about Western Michigan last year and again this year, and what Tony doesn't want you to know about Eastern Michigan. Western Michigan is projected to be undefeated in conference play. They were projected to be undefeated last year before going 7-6 and 4-4 in conference play. It was Eastern Michigan, Tony, and Buffalo, Curtis, that made a surprise run with the Eagles finishing with 11 wins. Western Michigan looks great on paper, not because they have a superstar. They don't have a single player you'd call elite. They just don't appear to have many weaknesses. Guess what? Football battles are really won on theory, and this season, 3 teams will contend for a playoff spot. None of them are Western Michigan. Let's dive right into the West Division and talk about the team that is likely going to win it, Eastern Michigan. Eastern Michigan, I'm projecting to be 9-3 with only 1 loss in conference. Their lone conference loss doesn't come to Western Michigan. It comes in Week 10 to Cabris Kent State, which gives them the division. They'd be a sure thing for the playoffs if they didn't face Miami, Florida, Kev, in Week 2, Minnesota on the road, Shark, in Week 3, and Florida State in Week 14. Win one of these and don't lose the games you should win, and they are in again. To get there, they'll need to put some trust in former SMU quarterback Rory Evans, who's candidly the best option for the lack of top-end speed in the receiver course. They'll also need a big year from Robert Stoker at running back, a 1,000-yard type year, honestly. Defensively, they return the Sack Bros defensive tackle Dennis Parker and defensive end Christopher Cromwell. They'll need them to step up, as while the secondary has speed, they have underperformed. Next up is Western Michigan. Go down the depth chart because that's the entire argument. The interior defensive line holds up, the edges win, the safeties are the best pair in the conference, the backfield is deep, the guards move people. There is no soft spot. Every other team in this conference has one. A center room that gets blown up, a quarterback group that can't throw, a secondary that gives up the vertical. Western Michigan doesn't have any of these. And in a league where most rosters are built around covering a hole, that's decisive. What they lack, though, is a coach that can win games. And that lack of a coach that can win games is why they'll be 8-4. Running back Miles Danielson is the most complete back in the MAC. Quick enough to make the first man miss, fast enough to finish. Now he just needs to prove it. Defensive tackle Lackey and sophomore edge Hoyt are the best front pairing here. Quarterback Mohammed Doherty is smart, careful, and good enough. And on this roster, good enough is all the job requires, as he has proven with over 5,400 yards and 53 touchdowns so far in his career. The 2 losses are out of conference. The 2 other losses are out of conference where they play Florida State and UCLA, and the 1 loss in conference is Eastern Michigan. Up next is Toledo. This is Van's team. And they are very, they have a chance to have a good season. Sorry about that. A safety who plays center field as well as anyone in the division, a reliable tight end, and a receiver who wins outside. Quarterback Eugene Nowak has a cannon and no idea where it's going. That split costs about 2 games a season, as he threw 13 interceptions last season. And it's why they're 7-5 and not 9-3. Minimize those mistakes and the Rockets will launch high and far. On defense, 3-star freshman free safety Nicholas Tate is something special. And he will key a defense that needs to be excellent to have a chance at the east and western parts of Michigan. Out of the conference is a place they can gain ground, but tough matchups with Buffalo, Kent State, Western Michigan, and Eastern Michigan is where they need to come up big. Honestly, the rest of the West is not worth covering. Ball State's going to come in around 5-7. Northern Illinois and Central Michigan, both 3-9. Though Northern Illinois quarterback Heath Temple has the strongest arm in the conference attached to some of the worst decision-making in it. Let's hop over to the East Division, and let's talk about the race there, which is going to be a lot more of a race. We need to start in Buffalo. Buffalo, led by Curtis, I'm predicting this is going to go 10-2, only lose once in conference. The real decision that Curtis has to make is Todd Stevens or Benjamin Miller. And that decision will likely determine whether Curtis repeats as the East Division champion or settles for second place behind Caber and Kent State. Sophomore running back Keith Bussey is something special as he rushed for 1,028 yards with 3 touchdowns as a freshman. The line is stout, but the center position is weak. Junior Joseph Martindale is back on defense, and there are few better in conference after he logged 13 sacks last season. The secondary is good on paper, but doesn't always play that way. Only number 22 Alabama is the game that will be where they are not favored. And honestly, they should be favored because DWK is no longer at Alabama. Up next is Kent State and Caber. A popular choice to win the division, but the depth at quarterback and running back are both concerns when the temperature drops, especially quarterback, where there is no experience at that position. The line is strong except in the middle at center, and they don't have many breakaway threats. What makes me believe that they will play uphill is 13 linebackers, all of them playable. They rotate constantly, they don't tire. And against MAC East offenses, built around a single running back, that's enough. Marvin Katz and Brian Bonilla are a combination that are filled throughout the conference. Freshman quarterback Rogers is sharp and makes the right reads, but his ball placement is a first year's, and if he goes down, there could be trouble. That's the cap on the season for Kent State. 7 wins, not 9, and it's the number that moves most between now and next year. The challenge for the playoffs, they need to win all 4 non-conference games and come out of week 9, 10, 11, and 13 matchups with Toledo on the road, Eastern Michigan, Miami, Ohio, and Buffalo with at least 3 wins. Up next is Bowling Green. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. Bowling Green is going to go 5-7. They probably have the best defensive back in the division in free safety Kuntz and not much else. The offensive tackles are a liability every snap. And the rest of the division is forgettable. Miami of Ohio, Akron, and Ohio are all 3-9. Akron's quarterback effectively cannot throw the ball. He's a running back who takes the snap. And their centers get moved backward on contact. So it barely matters who's back there. So what are we looking at for the title game? The title game will be Eastern Michigan over Buffalo, a 10-2 team against a 9-3 team, a rematch from last season that I think Tony takes again. Playoff picture, Eastern Michigan or Buffalo, a 10 or 11 win MAC team is going to make it in. Sadly, there isn't enough room for both unless they are at 11 wins both coming into the championship game. The thing that decides all of this, whether Eastern Michigan stubs a toe in conference, they're not blowing everyone out. Toledo and Kent State are real teams, but they're favored in all of them, and they run the table because they have proven they can hang with the big dogs. If they do drop one, it's Toledo, and it's no X-arm outrunning his accuracy on one great night. Thank you, and I'll do the next preview here shortly.